When you turned on the tape from BYU, what did you see?
Bad offensive football is what we saw. It was we couldn't execute, didn't execute, turned the ball, did all the things that losing teams do. And I do think that we are a physical football team. I think we're a tough football team. I think that even in the face of some adversity that we obviously faced, they fought. They gave great effort all the way through the game. So it wasn't those things. It was getting back to the fundamental execution of our base plays and doing the things that it is that we wanted to do. And I think that we had a chance to address that early on Monday morning with them. I think the team felt the same way we all felt at the end of that game, that was certainly a winnable football game, and our defense played at a really high level and gave us a bunch of opportunities. And when you go 0 for 5 touchdowns in the red zone, then those are the statistics that mark teams that lose games. And that was us that weekend. And it is what it is. We were able to put it to bed, as sickening as it was for the first 48 hours. And I think that we've done a great job moving on. We've had back-to-back outstanding practices. Really best two of the season so far, all the way back. I'm sure during fall camp we had some good ones, but so that it's been good to see our kids bounce back, and I think that they know what it is that we left out there, and they're determined to not let that happen again.
How as a coaching staff do you guys make sure that the team's not dwelling on the game, particularly when you don't get to play one this Saturday?
Yeah, every team's got a life of its own, so you got to judge the maturity level of each team. I think that we do have a mature football team, and I think that they were instant accountability, you know what I mean? I got done watching the game about 1 a.m. on, I guess would have been Friday night, right, or Saturday morning, and I went ahead and sent out all my thoughts on the game to the individual players and the coaching staff and those things. And by 9 a.m. the next morning, I had responses from everybody that were pointed and direct and specific, and that was encouraging. They were ready to address it. They all came in here, and we have a routine where they self-grade prior to us watching, so we can go in there and kind of move through the tape faster, and they were dialed Monday morning when we were in here.
You talking about your perspective in the BYU game about having Kevin go out, and have more of the drives this time around, and then obviously the decision to make him the starting quarterback moving forward.
Yeah, we went out and we moved the football when he was in there. I think that we got to we feel like this is the best direction that our team can go right now, and we feel like he gives us the best chance to move the ball and win games like we do. And I think that our offense is eager to take that on, and I think that some of the moving parts certainly contributed to that up front. That's part of where we're at, and we got to make sure that we're continuing to hammer that out and get it right. And I think that giving a stable atmosphere and an environment and getting behind something and going, this is what we felt like was the best move. And Kevin's the guy that's going to lead us doing that right now, and we're certainly excited about him. I think that the team as a whole has responded terrifically. Preston's responded as good as you can expect him to respond, and that's been a breath of fresh air for our entire team, is to see the support for each other, and it's been that way the entire time. Even when we were kind of trying to figure out who was going to play going through fall camp and how that was, they were supportive of each other at that point. All the way through the first 2 weeks, kind of now where we're at, moving forward from here, and it's been that part of it's been really encouraging for our team.
What's Kevin like from a demeanor perspective, and what do you like about his demeanor?
Kevin is a state champion quarterback, so he's got certainly has confidence, and everything that I'm saying about Kevin isn't that I'm saying anything isn't about Preston, right? This is specific to Kevin, but he's got great energy. He brings juice to our practice. I think he certainly operates different in the huddle, but not in a bad way. He's just got his own style, right? Every quarterback's got their own style and how they do that, just like we saw from Tanner to Preston and Preston to Kevin. And it's every quarterback kind of commands the huddle in his own way and at their own specific time. And so I really like Kevin. I think he's he's give us a great chance to win, and we're excited to watch him play. And this, against the hardest stretch schedule in 40 years here at SMU. So it's exciting times. It's what we wanted. It's what we asked for, and here we are.
Talk a little about the offensive line. It seemed like on some of those 3 and outs in that past game that there was a lot of busted protection and stuff like that. Coach touched on a little bit on Tuesday. What are you seeing from that group, and is they're still trying to kind of figure out what that best 5 to work with?
Yeah, the entire offense bears the responsibility of our performance on Saturday, right? And that's the offensive line had their role, and the running backs and the tight ends and everybody, right? And so we are working diligently to make sure that we can identify putting the 5 best guys out there that give us the best opportunity to win, just like we do at every position, right? Making sure that we are giving our guys the best chance to execute and win games. And we're continuing to maneuver that around. I think it's really good to watch Andrew Chambly, who missed fall camp. He's continuing to build his bank of reps and getting more confidence being in the game, and that's something that we've had to kind of crutch is that tackle position. So now with him back in the fold, now you got numbers again where you want them to be, and we're pushing in the right direction. We got good players. It's finding that right combination of 5, and the beauty about where we're at is we have the ability to play a lot of guys. We have played a lot of guys, and we're still confident in 8. Our 8 guys that can go out there and help us win games. It's just a matter of some of that will be week specific, some of that will be health specific. Obviously, that's why you got to have multiple guys ready to go, and I think that this has been a great week of development for them. Right, let them settle into. Kind of maybe you mentioned it. It's a less pressure filled week and more of a development. Like, hey, we got to hone in and lock in, and so it's not. We've not had wasted time. We've not had wasted meetings or practices, and so I think that we're really headed in the right direction from that standpoint.
What are the challenges that TCU presents so far from what you've seen?
Man, they are fast and physical. I mean, they are. I think their athleticism is really something. Coach Avalos has done a great job for a long time at different places, and he really he presents a lot of different looks and does a pretty nice job covering his looks. Right, they give you one picture pre-snap, and it ends up in a number of different pictures post-snap. So we got to do a great job of being able to identify a lot of stuff post-snap. And their experience, they've won, they're winning right now. I know that they got a great opponent to play this weekend. That'll be a good game for us to watch and evaluate. And they're going to be a great challenge. Probably the best defense we've played so far.
Have you been trying to balance the use of R.J. Maryland versus Matthew Hibner? Obviously, both have the ability, in both facets, but it seems like R.J.'s maybe a little more explosive in the passing game, whereas Hibner's a little bit more important in the blocking game. How do you kind of balance usage?
Yeah, there are situational times during the course of a game where you can be specific to what their greatest skill is. The beauty about what this offense presents is that because we're playing at tempo, and that's something that we've really leaned into. I didn't think we did a great job tempoing, you know what I mean? We hadn't been able to play fast, so we're leaning back into that and training that. But one of those aspects of tempo is the tight end's got to play multiple different positions and be able to do that, and he's got to be able to cover a number of techniques, both in the box and on the perimeter. Fortunately, we got 2 smart, dedicated football players that can really present that a lot. I see them as just as much co-starters as anything, right? They can, either one of them can be in the game, and we can execute the entirety of our offense in the regular course of the game. I do think that there are situational times. Hey, man, we got this opportunity to get the whatever, this is his great skill set. Let's run that and do this. Then yeah, there's situational times where I think that shows up. Certainly, when we see Stone get put in the game, those are some of those situations. But those are generally in play stoppage situations, right? Here we go. We've got a dead ball. Let's move in and try to substitute for situation type stuff. But other than that, we want to be in position where we can really push the tempo.
I know it was 2 weeks ago, but kind of got your first look at Derrick McFall in game situations. What did you think of him and kind of what he can bring in the future?
Man, Derrick's got some explosiveness that we saw on tape in high school, that we were able to observe and do that. And it was fun to watch him in the game and see that. He's learning the college game, right? As every high schooler's got to have that incubation time where they figure out how fast the game actually is. And I think that he's kind of gone through that a little bit. And he's done a nice job in practice. And he's going to, with Kamar out for the season, and he's kind of right there on the fringe of a guy that's going to have to continue to prepare to play and be in position. And he's a guy that the more times he touches the ball and makes people miss and gains yards and does the things that we need him to do there, then he's a guy that can certainly show up in the game more often moving forward, I think.
What's it like working with, but also kind of opposite of Coach Simons, and kind of what do you see from his defense kind of day in, day out in practice and then on?
Yeah, Scott does a terrific job. I know we've said that for a number of years. It's good. We don't win a championship last year if we weren't as good on defense as we were, and obviously we were great on offense too. But Scott's a good guy to work with. He challenges you to be great. You know what I mean? He doesn't let you. He doesn't just give you anything. And he adjusts when you attack him. And I think that he's a great adjuster. He doesn't let things hurt him over and over again. And he's a good thing about a week like we've had this week is there's a lot of team, a lot of crossover, a lot of opportunity to get good on good reps to make sure we're, you don't get the 160 snap game this Saturday. So you kind of bank 160 weekly reps, over the course of 3 or 4 days to make sure that that we're not losing anything that we built up through the first 8 weeks of the season here. And then including fall camp, right? And then moving into next week and this stretch 3 games that we got coming up. So
on Tuesday, Coach talked a little about how opposing defense have really keyed in on trying to take away the big play from this offense, something that they did really well last year. Can you talk about how you try and counteract that, what you kind of do when teams are really focusing on that one area of your game?
Yeah, you got to be patient. That's that's the number one. That's the number one key, and that's our players, and that's our coaches, and that's our offense, and we are built to run the ball and be explosive down the field. And when they do a great job of taking those things away, then we got to find a way to distribute the ball all around the field. We got to attack all parts of the field. So we got to continue to concentrate on different ways to do that and keep it within the framework of what it is that we're already doing offensively, right? The one thing that we can't do is panic and go create a new offense and do something different. And that's right. Kevin and Preston run the exact same offense. It's not, we don't have to call new plays and things like that. It's just a matter, but we do have to find ways to attack each part of the field so they can't feel, 4 15-yard plays can be just as damaging as one 60-yard play. So they got to decide, you got to force the defense to react and defend all those different places, and you got to force them to make decisions on what it is that they're willing to give up and what they're not. And then as we got to give our kids the best opportunity to do that. And I think that's been good conversations that we've had this week and studying ways to do that, to continue to do that moving forward.
With Brashard, just how well he's done throughout the year and averaging over 5 yards a carry against BYU, is this week a time where you look at, can he handle more now that you have a good sample size of what he should?
Yeah, no, I think all the time. I think we get him the ball a lot. I like them guys that make other people miss. That makes you smart as a coach for sure. So, I think that running back is a position that you can control the load a little easier, We've had some situations in game over the course of the last 3 weeks where it's, hey, he needs a blow. Well, this time it was like his quad got hit, so we're giving him a cut. So there's kind of, to answer your question, yeah. I mean, we want to get our best players the ball as many times as we can. Running back is a position that's super specific to, man, if we can load a dude that's grinding out yards like he's, able to do, then we need to continue to find ways to do that, right? And then we got to get great support out of those guys around him, you know, and so it'll be it's fun. We've got playmakers in this offense, so it's fun to to find the plays and the ways to distribute it to the different guys, because we do have guys that can break tackles. We got guys that can make yards, and we got to do a great job distributing the ball out. And that starts with us, right? Carries on to our quarterback, and then those guys, once they get the ball in space, continue to do the things that we need them to do.